All right. Good afternoon. We'll call this CRA meeting to order. And luckily, Commissioner Williams has stated that he will do the invocation for us today.
Dear Lord, as we come now to discuss the business of the CRA, God, just lead us and guide us, Lord. Just bless us with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, God, that we can do what's best for this city, God, what's best for this district, God. And again, we say thank you for that grace and thy mercy, and we thank you for this city, and we thank you for each and every employee. In your sweet holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chair Grunder,
Here.
Vice Chair White,
Here.
Member James,
Here.
Member Williams,
Here.
Member Ingram.
Here.
Okay, if we can get an approval of the agenda.
I will make a motion that the agenda be approved as printed.
I'll second that.
Motion and seconded. With the vote on that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say same. Okay, and we do an approval of the minutes from the February 9th, 2023 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say same. Okay, moving on to the business items. First is the introduction of the new CRA manager, Amy Bohannon.
Is this on? Hello, CRA Board. I just wanted to introduce y'all to Amy Bohannon. She's the new CRA manager. Amy has worked for several years in the Public Works Department. She has helped them tremendously. She worked on the budget. She worked on a lot of the administrative tasks, and her talent was evident, so we pulled her over into CRA. In addition to the time she has had in public works, she also studied at UF in recreation and hospitality management. So I just want y'all to welcome Amy to CRA, and you'll be seeing more of her.
Hi, I'm excited about this opportunity, and I think we can do a lot of cool things. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
here. We
you.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now discuss, consider, and act on CRA audit.
Good evening. How are you doing tonight?
Good evening.
So I understand you all were impressed enough with my presentations the last 2 months, so I'm here to present the CRA audit. I do have a PowerPoint presentation for you all. It's similar to what we had discussed for the city financial statement audit, probably a little bit more abbreviated, but just high level specific items for your CRA audit financial statements. As you may remember, these financial statements are really your financial statements. However, there are some reports that we include in here. Again, similar reports that we had discussed for the city financial statements. The first report being the audit report. This is where we express our opinion over the financial statements themselves. We do have what's called an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion. It's the best opinion we can provide over a set of financial statements. The next report, the report on internal control and compliance report, again, as it kind of sounds, if we noted any issues specific to the CRA with regards to internal controls, we would include those comments in this report, and you can see there are no comments. The third report being what we really call the management letter to the Auditor General. Again, some more required hoops that we have to jump through, and just making sure that their CRA is in compliance with specific requirements, and just really no comments in there either. And then the final report, the examination report in the back of the set of financials, just indicating the CRA is in compliance with all specified statutes. Some items to communicate to you all included in a separate letter called a SAS 114 letter. As far as new standards, there weren't any new standards that were required to be applied to the financial statements this year. Significant estimates for you all to be aware of: depreciation, so really the useful lives of your capital assets. Again, that is an estimate for you all to be aware. We didn't have any issues with that, but just want you all to be aware of that. Significant disclosures: deposits and investments is obviously disclosure in your financials. And we did have a restatement in that position based on conversations we had with Ashley. There were some capital assets that were related that we had previously on the cities. They are now included on the CRA, so it was just really including those on your financial statements. And then finally, corrected and uncorrected misstatements specific to the audit. We had none specific for the CRA. Again, you may remember the graph or the table we have here. Again, we kind of look at the 3-year trend over the fund balance classification. So the CRA does have that fund balance is restricted for specific uses. You can see that over the last 3 years, it's been around 200. This most recent year, 273,000. And we do a similar analysis for the city. This isn't as important, I think, for knowing what's a minimum, but just something to kind of keep in mind as far as looking at your fund balance compared to expenditures and transfers out as a percentage. Again, nothing to be really concerned here. You all do obviously have a budget over the CRA, so you are monitoring those expenditures, but just something to kind of highlight as well. And then with that, I'll open up to any questions.
Thank you for doing this. My question is, because this is, we've got a whole nother audit going on right now for this area too.
Correct.
Do we have a time frame for when that one will be done, since this one took so long for a variety of reasons?
So both the city and the CRA audit, we've actually been working with staff, and we've completed our planning and interim procedures. Kind of the hope and ideal is that we'll start our procedures in early May. Does that seem about right? Again, that's kind of the game plan as we know it, and obviously once we start our procedures, we'll try and complete the audit as quickly as we can.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commissioners?
Would you like a motion?
Yeah, do we have to open it up for discussion?
Yeah, usually.
the motion?
You usually do it after the motion, yeah.
No, let's do it after the motion this time.
Okay,
Be
cool.
creative this time.
All right, I'll make a motion, we accept the CRA audit as presented.
Second.
Motion and seconded. And any public comment? Okay, we'll vote on it. All those in favor of accepting the CRA audit, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Have a good night.
All right, we'll move on to discuss, consider, and act on the time capsule project.
I'd like to introduce Christy Swilly. She came up with this idea and has donated a time capsule, so I'd like to introduce her.
Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Mayor and fellow commissioners, thank you for your time. Just wanted to come to you and offer on behalf of my family a time capsule to the city of High Springs. I would like to, if at all possible, work with Amy on this time capsule project. You have a packet in front of you that just tells a little bit about it and also has a picture of the time capsule itself. Time capsule pictures are on the very back. It's a very large time capsule. It's a 3-foot by 2-foot by 18-inch time capsule that I had commissioned, and it's also been powder coated and specifically designed out of a heavy-duty aluminum to try and make it as durable as possible and as watertight as possible. And making it so large, the idea behind that would be to try and get as much participation from the community as possible. I would foresee that as possibly a tour of some sort to different communities and allowing different communities to participate, our business members to participate, and naturally the city to participate, and however else you see fit for that. The goal would be to try and preserve as much High Springs history and save that for the future. We know we have our bicentennial coming up in 2092, which, granted, I'm not certain anybody in this room will be here for that, but it would be nice to be able to at least showcase where High Springs came from, where we are right now, and then for them to see what that was like and appreciate that. Just as far as recommendations, I do have some materials that will go along with the time capsule itself. I have boxes for different participation. I also have large envelopes, depending on how much we would like people to contribute. So that would be some details we would want to work out as a committee or as a team, however you see fit. But I would like to turn that item over to the city and allow us to make that a community event, and like I say, preserve as much of our history as possible. Naturally, we would have to have some rules, as far as what could and couldn't be in the time capsule. We do live in 2023, so we have to be a little specific about that, I'm sure. And we can create forms. We don't have to reinvent the wheel with that, but there are some forms that we had generated previously. And just so we would have an inventory of what's in there, a table of contents type thing. So once it is opened in the future, they would know exactly what was in there and what was contained in the time capsule. Any questions for me at all that I might be able to answer?
That you came up with. I like this.
Well, High Springs is near and dear to me, and anything that we can do to allow new people to see why we love it so much, but then also to preserve the things that we have from the past too that we're proud of would be great.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think this is awesome.
When are you looking to, when do you want to bury it?
Well, that's something we would kind of have to decide if we want to create a special event strictly for the time capsule burial. I'm most certainly willing to help plan and help participate in that. If we want to collaborate or, make it a part of another event, we most certainly can do that as well. So I think the biggest thing would be, determining when it would be opened and make sure there's future instructions for that. But I think it would take a little bit of time to make sure that as many people know about it as possible so that we can get as much content in it as possible. That's why I was thinking maybe some type of tour, having in a couple of different places for people to see and view and add, and then ultimately have a deadline or a cutoff as far as when entries could be placed, and then ultimately create an event around that, or, like I say, tag on to another event and have that as a finale or a kickoff to the event, however we see fit.
I like this idea. This is a very cool idea.
Thank you. I can't take credit for all of it. David Sutton had originally mentioned the thought of a time capsule, and we just kind of ran with it. And we went ahead and at least got it made. And then we figured we'd work out the details after that. So at least we have it. So, but it's pretty impressive. I've just kept it in the box that it was shipped in because I didn't want it to get messed up, and I just took it out of the box the day before yesterday to take pictures, and it's pretty impressive. So I'll definitely need some help.
Would it be something
sealing
that,
it
would you
and-
direct bury it? Would it directly go into the ground since it's powder coated, or would you need something else in the ground to?
I would think that it might be best if we have something that contains it before it goes into the ground, whether that be concrete or what have you. I would look for recommendations on that. But it's designed to withstand the changes in temperature and all those kinds of things, and hopefully we'll have limited moisture in the box, because we definitely want to prevent that from happening. But it does have a special lid as far as how it was configured to try and prevent as much moisture from getting into it as possible.
The dive shops might be able to help with the moisture.
It's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Any other questions for me?
So would you be interested in working with Amy and kind of heading up like a committee? I don't know, you guys kind of make that what it looks like for us?
Most definitely.
I mean, my kind of thought was, I don't know, it just popped in my head was why don't we plan for either around Christmas time this year or Pioneer Days next year when we get the most amount of influx into the city to kind of, spearhead and tag team with something like that. And I'm sure the chamber will work with us and whatnot. We've got all that worked out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, it's exciting though.
Yeah, I mean, we want to try to make it as easy as possible for people to be able to participate, whether it be picking up an envelope, or a box, whatever that ultimately looks like as far as the details, but making it easy as far as a drop-off point, pickup point for envelopes, boxes, so they have a little bit of time to work on it or decide what they want to put in it.
Absolutely.
So we've already got quite a few people who are wanting to participate, so that's exciting.
I can imagine. I mean, a lot of pride that comes from people from High Springs. I know that personally, so,
Absolutely,
I mean, a lot of pride.
absolutely.
Just putting it in some other type of concrete container.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because there's something about below ground.
Florida's got away with it.
Some kind of, it'll get in there some kind of way. And make sure we put a rock in there to symbolize high rock.
That's
I
right.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. Anything else for me? Thank you.
Is there anything we need to act on that? I don't-
Consensus in.
Oh, okay.
So I got one question on it. So now, do we need to appoint somebody to represent the city with this project, or Amy will do it? Okay. That's it.
I guess we have a consensus that everybody's good with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you for bringing that forward. We really appreciate that. We look forward to it. All right, moving on to number 4. Discuss, consider, and act on farmers market.
Hello, CRA board. Basically, over time, staff evaluates different programs and projects within the city. The farmers market hasn't been looked at in a while, at least the entire time I've been here. It hasn't been looked at, and it's time to go back over the rules, when it's held, the rules, the contracts with the vendors, and make sure that everything is legal and up to date with other communities. Also, I think there's a thought that we'd like to grow it and get more vendors, as well as add activities during the times the farmer market is held. Next to it, to kind of try to make something that's more vibrant. I mean, the community's growing, and just like Pioneer Days is growing and other events, it's time to look at the market again. Staff was looking at engaging Sharon Yago to help the city with that effort because she has a lot of experience. She helped start the first farmers market in High Springs. She has extensive experience in farmers markets, not just in High Springs, but around the state. She knows all the laws and the rules. It's a lot more technical than people realize, so she can help make sure that we're in line with how things are supposed to be. She's familiar with the SNAP program that we have, so she can help us make sure we are following all the proper procedures and we're operating as we should be. There's just a lot of advantages to hiring her and helping us in the effort, including conducting community workshops because we want to gather input from the community on what they would like to see the farmers market looks like as we move forward in this effort with your blessing. So I'll go ahead and let Sharon talk to you. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the CRA. Basically, what you have in your packet is what I had kind of come up with as a first step to review the system of the farmers market itself, the operation. The rules have changed. Some of you may not remember, only a couple people in this room were around in 2000, in September of 2000, when I was summoned to this room by the commission to the commission wanted to pass an ordinance to outlaw street peddlers. And so they decided that in doing that, they wanted to have a place for legitimate farmers to go. And so they said, Sharon, will you start a farmer's market? At that point, I was only in town for a year, but I'd already been managing the Alachua County Farmers Market for 9 months and had been doing really good work there. That market is a growers-only market. So we adopted those general principles, which was a growers-only market. And for the first 5 years of the market, we only had farmers. There weren't crafters, there weren't artists, except the commission gave me 6 market days a year where we could invite crafters and we could have music. Much different than what we have now. The market is very, the total personality of the market has changed over the course of many, almost more than 2 decades now. The market's been in existence for 22, 23 years. That's impressive. And so just the fact that we've been able to keep it going is a major achievement, regardless of how it's been operated and what the market has allowed. But the fact that it's never closed and has stayed open to serve the community, that's a really good point and a great way to start this process. So I really want to sit down. I want to review. I want to sit down with the vendors. I want to find out what's going on with them. A couple of the grants that we received in the early years of the market, the first one was for $2,000 before we opened. We had a $2,000 marketing grant from a regional local food partnership that I was involved with through my work with the Alachua County Farmers Market. Then a couple of years later, we were able to apply with the Project for Public Spaces for a Kellogg funded grant to install the EBT program here and have make SNAP available to our local citizens, and the farmers then could sell directly to those SNAP participants. We included the incentive program, which is a match to further incentivize those SNAP customers to come. We started the community garden, and we were able to hire a park consultant who actually came in and toured the facility, toured James Paul Park and the downtown area. The market was, in fact, located at James Paul Park at the time. And the 3 things that he recommended almost 20 years ago, are coming true. His first and most important recommendation was to renovate the old school. That was his, you got to do these, that should be your #1 priority. Get that school renovated so you have use of it. His second recommendation was, the only thing that hasn't turned out yet is to move the police department out of the park and make that a community center where the police department is. The third thing that he recommended was to put the pavilion for the farmers market almost exactly where it is today. So it's really nice to see that those grant-funded programs have lasted through this time, and we had some good planning and we had some really good support. The farmers market in those days was, like I said, all farmers except those 6 market days. We had a lot of engagement with the community. We worked with the UF nursing students to do blood pressure checks, diabetes checks. We collected things for hurricane relief. We did all kinds of things that involved the community that was beyond just buying and selling produce. And I think a lot of people want to see that kind of thing come back. I've heard that over the course of years. This isn't about any one person managing the market. This is something that the market has changed over the last 15 or 20 years to a very different kind of market than it was originally established as. And so I think we need to find out, have we lost a lot of customers because of those changes? I've heard that over the years. I just chalk it up to them just trying to be nice to me and saying I did a nice job. But the fact is, people think that the market changed when it didn't have a professional market manager who had experience in farmers market, the farmers market industry, and local food and dealing with farmers. And so that's one of the things that I think folks are interested in bringing back. But I'm not here to tell anybody what to do. I'm here to collect data, do the research, establish best practices if they're not already in place, and advise the staff on moving forward. I'm just here to consult. As I tell all of my clients, my #1 priority is to work myself out of a job. I'm not here to find a job. I'm not here to milk this for, to keep going forever and ever on the farmers market. I'm just here to help with this particular situation. And then once of these issues and these maybe possibly new policies and procedures are in place, the market will continue to move on. It is a strong market simply because it's existed this long. So I think we have a lot to work with. And I'll certainly be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Is your proposal to take it back to a farmers only?
Well, you know, the thing is that, Madam Mayor, things have changed in the 23 years.
True.
Back then, we were the 4th farmers market in the county to be in existence. Now, within a 50-mile radius, we have at least 9. And so farmers are being pulled in a lot more different directions. So we have to look at that. We have vendors that are selling under the farmers market pavilion that are not farmers, and they don't grow anything. But they are, you know, our local folks, and they are trying to make a living. One of the things that came out of that Project for Public Spaces grant is that they required us to do a survey of the economic impact of the market. And I was able to define that between 2005 and 2006, the farmers market vendors in a farmers only situation, we generated about $250,000 in sales. And that's on 4 hours a week. So it was a very successful farmers market. And when you have farmers markets in your community, the economic impact that goes with that can be up to 7, especially in a farmers market, can be up to 7 times the economic multiplier. So it's a huge economic engine. It's a little sleepy. You know, sometimes we don't pay attention to it if it's not, you know, if there isn't a festival going on. But it is an economic engine, and the last thing I want to do is destroy or in any way harm that economic engine. So how we find that solution, I think it's up to the community. The best farmers markets are true reflections of their community, and that's where I think we need to start. What does the community want? Sure, absolutely.
I agree that the farmer's market needs to be a little reimagined and refreshed, possibly. But so is it? So you're here specifically to advocate to be a consultant for this process? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I was asked by Ashley to come in and do this.
I have a question for Ashley then.
Sure.
Ashley, is this not something that we would put out an RFP for? Do we normally sole source this kind of stuff, or?
Honestly, we can do either.
Well,
So staff, it's within the purchasing policy, within my authority, to go ahead, you know, with what's been budgeted and within the purchasing policy, to go ahead and engage Ms. Yago. The thing that makes her different from everyone else is that she has the history and the experience and the knowledge of High Springs Farmers Market and the knowledge of what's going on in Alachua County with farmers markets, which makes her unique. So we can always RFP anything. We can definitely do that. But was kind of, you know, why I was recommending Ms. Yago.
And Ms. Yago may well be, through an RFP process, the most
Yeah.
qualified and the best price, and, you know, you look for that quality triangle, but I think we might be a little short-sighted for the city not asking around, because when you and I were talking, I texted down to Newberry. They've got stuff going on down there. They actually think they probably need some help, too. But, you know, there's a lot going on in Gainesville as well, and I think that, you know, if I personally was going to be making, you know, I don't know what kind of budget we're talking about. I don't know what kind of line item we're talking about and what the terms are or anything.
Yeah, so we haven't negotiated the cost yet, but from, you know, our initial discussions, it was not going to be much at all. It's almost like, I don't think I'm going to be able to find anything less for this level of experience. But it was within what was budgeted, but we hadn't worked out. I don't like to throw out numbers because we hadn't worked out all the details yet, because I was first seeking, you know, this is the first time I brought up the revamping of the farmers market to the CRA board. And so first want to know that y'all were all in agreement with that. And then second, you know, I wanted to, you know, let you know where I was headed and see if y'all were in agreement with that as well. So I can take whatever direction the board wants to give me.
Just to say one thing about the SNAP program and the EBT process, and probably Vice Chair Weiss, you're not familiar with this, but the EBT program, which is the SNAP program for farmers at farmers market, and it provides wireless, electronic, and the computers and the machines and stuff. I started that program here in High Springs, and that program was the state model that was the model for the state of Florida. We developed the model here at High Springs of EBT with the incentive program, working with local farmers. So, I do have a unique experience with those kinds of things, and I don't, there aren't a lot of folks out there that really do have that experience as far as oversight of those kinds of programs. So,
I understand that, and like I said, you may well be the most qualified person, but if I'm making a buying decision for myself personally, I'm not going to get just one quote, you know?
Right.
And I'd like to understand before we move forward, what are the specifics? What's the specific terms? You know, what kind of budget are we talking about? And, you know, we may be able to get more input from other folks as well.
I expect to. Yeah,
So, you know, I'm not at all opposed to revamping the farmer's market by any means.
I'd certainly like to get your thoughts on that, specifically. And I really want to get everyone's specific thoughts, because it has been a long time coming. The market has not been reassessed in 10 or 15 years. It's just been kind of left to just kind of continue on as however it was going to continue on. And, you know, unfortunately, when it moved to Fridays, it became, you know, relatively unsupervised. So I think that it's important that we move forward quickly so that we give the merchants or the vendors some assurances that we're not going to throw them out with the bath, you know, throw them out with the baby with the bathwater kind of thing, and that they're not necessarily going to lose revenues, because as I understand that there is some, you know, they're concerned. They're concerned about revitalizing the market because how it will affect them.
I think that's independent of who it is that's consulting
Correct.
with us, however.
Correct.
You know, I think that there has been some agita over there, and I hope that they feel, you know, assured that it's something that's very valued here. And I go there regularly. I like it a lot. But I was here in 2000, and I was here when you no longer were with the farmers market.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm always hesitant to sole source anything.
I understand.
So that's just my perspective in my personal life and professionally, so.
Who's been running the farmer's market for the last?
So
bit of
after,
time.
well, I retired in 08, and then Sandy Richmond, who was Jim Drump, the city manager's assistant, Sandy Richmond managed it for 6 months, and then it was transferred over to the Main Street program, which was another separate nonprofit. I was also a contractor, so the city never had an employee per se running the market until more recently, after Carol took it over as a contractor, and then I think there was an audit that required the city to make her an employee because she wasn't she wasn't independent.
Rogue agent.
Pardon?
She was a rogue agent.
And quite frankly, the city, other than when they paid me to initially start it, the city contributed $0 for the 8 years that I managed the market. The relationship between myself and the city was that we would live off of the vendor fees and any grants we wrote. And so the city did not support, you know, they didn't give us any money except occasionally. I think there was one travel thing that I got reimbursed because I went to Austin and, you know, brought back some money. But for the most part, it's been kind of like that. And unfortunately, you know, there hasn't been a lot of technical expertise given to the folks that have been running it. There haven't been a lot of networking with other market managers. That is the norm for Farmers Market Network. We worked real hard to develop a statewide network to support those farmers market managers. I worked at the national level to build that network as well and the resources. And unfortunately, the High Springs Farmers Market has not availed themselves of those resources for the last 10 or 15 years that I can see, unfortunately.
Extremely happy that we're having that conversation because it has gone downhill. And it needs to be brought back. And I think you're probably going to be the individual that we go with.
Thank
but
you.
I think I also agree with Commissioner Whites that getting multiple options is always a better choice,
Sure.
unless there's a reason we can't.
Actually, is there a reason we couldn't do that? That's a good question.
I mean, you can, like I said, you can always RFP anything.
Okay.
Like,
I don't think it would need to be a very complex procedure.
I would just do a one-pager.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Just do a one-pager and just get it out is how I would do it.
Is that something that we could do in time to come back to the next CRA meeting, so we're keeping this moving?
I don't know if we can get it done by next month because we need time to.
We haven't been having them every month, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and then we have to, see who, puts forward an RFP, give them enough time to write it. And then we have to interview them. So it'd probably be more like 2 months would be a
Okay.
better turnaround time.
Okay. Well, I mean, we've been struggling for years. A couple months, like I said, may still actually absolutely end up where we are right now. But I appreciate Commissioner Grunder's, Chair Grunder's support. I don't think we're going to lose anything by reaching out.
And I think we'd probably come back to you anyway. I mean, it's what it sounds like. I mean, it sounds like you've got your stuff together and you know exactly what we need and where we need to go, but I always like the fairness aspect of opening it up.
I'm glad we're doing this process too. I want to move forward with this process. I'm glad you're going to be doing the information gathering and are going to look for our input, because I definitely have some thoughts about day of week and whatever. We used to have in town a gentleman by the name of Dan Burton, and most local residents didn't know who Dan was. But if you said Dan Burton to anybody who was involved in creating public spaces anywhere in the world, they knew exactly who he was, because he was the worldwide authority on creating walkable communities. And he lived in a house stone's throw down the road. And when he came to the meetings and spoke, people didn't pay attention to him because he was just some dude in High Springs. So sometimes we want to be careful when we do have expertise locally about whether or not we go ahead and use it. And, I don't know what kind of money we're talking about, if it's within the budget. I'm also a little hesitant to create another hurdle for staff to create an RFP, publish an RFP. There's going to be expense with that. And I think I invite staff to go out and look and find and whatever, but the formal process of an RFP for something like this just seems like, and then coming back to us to pick or choose, to me, that's a staff thing. That we should set the policy. We want them to review the market, come back to us with a recommendation, however they gather that information, and we set policy and move forward on that. But that's my thought on that. And part of it is the market vendors need to know that we're treating them seriously and moving along. And right now, there's a lot of concern, especially being displaced before the mural event, being displaced during Pioneer Days. We're about to come into harvest season between now and June, and I think if we delay and kind of leave them in limbo, that might be sending a bad signal there too. So,
If I may, they're going to be open, though, for Pioneer Days for 3 days. They were closed for the mural, so I think that hopefully that does show. We had to, I understand Ashley's moving them so they can be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I hope that just that alone, because they like to be there extra days because they get more
I don't
traffic.
think that's going to provide them with the sense of security that they need on who's the leader of the band. That's the problem, is that I think that there's a real concern about the leadership at the market. I think there's a real concern about, and having done this for a long time and having worked with farmers for a very long time, they can't wait. They harvest, they got to sell. They can't. It's not like jewelry that they can take home and sell tomorrow.
And I don't think there's anything preventing them from harvesting and selling right now.
No, I agree. I just want you. I think
The platform's still there.
Mr. Rumbrus's position is correct. Is that they are nervous and they're getting they're getting a little upset.
Well, then I think that falls to Ashley right now. She's the leader of the band,
Right.
And I think Ashley is very capable of assuring them. I think she's pretty plugged in. She's been looking at it for quite a while, but I still think a simple RFP process to make sure there is no impropriety. We're going by the book is important in any municipal contract, in any kind of consulting relationship. I think that kind of transparency is important. And, I mean, the Gainesville farmers markets, the farmers markets that are, they're huge. I mean, there's some beautiful ones there, so.
And those are all privately managed.
And that's also,
Yeah.
you know, something we could draw from.
Yes, yeah, the Alachua County Farmers Market is a public facility managed by a 501c6 not-for-profit, basically a trade association. And that is the, you know, and most of them are run by private individuals or private groups. And that is something that actually that I would bring to the table for this commission, is that we may want to return to that model as opposed to having a city employee manage the market. So those are the kinds of things that we want to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I absolutely, I appreciate your input, and I support reimagining it by all means. But I would make a motion that we put out a simple RFP and see, and we may not even get more than one response. You never know. But I think it'd be better for the city to just at least go through that process. I don't think that the farmers market is going to feel like if they know we're moving forward with defining a path, I think that's going to go a long way to
hope so.
reassuring them too.
I hope so. It's important. Any other questions for me?
A question for the city manager.
Okay.
I don't know how to put this question. So what's the normal procedure on doing what you're trying to do?
I think for the amount that we're going to be charged, you wouldn't typically do an RFP for the amount we're going to end up being charged, but I do understand that it is a professional service, so RFPs are done for professional services. I do not think that we are going to get anyone better than Sharon when we do the RFP process, but you know, you never know. So I'll do whatever the CRA board decides. You know, I recommended Sharon because, I mean, as you can see, she's very knowledgeable, and it's going to be hard pressed to find someone with that amount of knowledge. And again, it could happen, but I don't think it's going to. Well, I think it's going to be under $10,000, and it's significantly under $10,000. I don't want to make it too low, but it's definitely within my purchasing authority, and it's you can make the argument easily that it's sole source, you know, because no one else is going to come to the table with the knowledge of High Springs market, and that matters in this instance. They're going to have a learning curve. So, but you know, again, I wanted the blessing of the CRA board, so I'm totally fine RFPing it. But it's typically, there's been a number of things since I've been here we've RFP'd, and since the number of people who do these things are so specialized, and it isn't a large metro area, you know, every other time I've been right on the number of things we're going to get in, and I think I'm going to be right on this one again. But we can go through the process. I'm fine doing it.
There's a fee for the process to go through the RFP.
Well, for the fee to go to the RFP process is mainly the advertising. So how much is the advertising going to be? Yeah.
It depends on the size, how big it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's a range? Can you give us a range? $20 to $200?
Okay, so for example, like the CDBG display ad you just did, that was $410 for one paper.
And you know, and then we're going to have staff time to write the RFP, staff time to review the RFP, staff time to go through interviews. You know, but I don't think there's probably going to be many interviews because I don't think we'll get a lot.
Like we do a regular legal ad, like we do, or like, you know, health wanted ads in the small legal section, like our ordinances. Those are between $50 and $100, just depending on the lane.
There's a lot.
Display ads, when they take up multiple columns, it gets pricey.
But we don't have to do that.
We don't have to.
But the larger you do it, the more responses you're going to get. I mean, you know, so.
Well, I think there could be a lot of networking too, you know, just reaching out to people in the farmers market and, you know, Columbia County, Gilchrist County, and the surrounding areas as well.
I get it. I am the amount of stuff I have to do on my desk is insane.
Is this not something Amy could help you with?
Amy can help me with, and I'll give it to her to help me with.
Okay.
We don't have a lot of staff for the amount we have to do, so I try to be efficient where I can be. But I'm fine. Y'all direct me, and I'll do whatever y'all want.
We keep saying, put it out there, and then we say we probably end up coming back to hiring her. So why go through that process if we're going to end up?
Well, that's kind of what I'm trying to relay.
But we still
Because
don't know.
Again, I don't know. You could have the random person come in,
Yeah.
but in other instances, whenever we've done this, you know what's out there. I wouldn't have gone this direction to bring Sharon this far if there wasn't some, idea of Sharon's one of the primary people in the whole state and one of the most knowledgeable people in the state on farmers markets. We're just lucky that she's in our backyard. So.
I know somebody who works in CRA in Gainesville. I could easily reach out to her and see if she could give Amy some connections. I don't know. I don't want to make this a cumbersome process by any means for you or Amy or anybody else on staff. But again, I'm always hesitant to sole source anything.
If we don't go out to RSVP, if we break any kind of policies or?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I did want to mention on the purchasing policy, so I'm the finance director and that falls in my purview. What Mr. Thatos is trying to do is well within her authority from a signature perspective and a procurement policy perspective. It's very normal when you're hiring a specialist to have a sole source. And if you can justify it, which she clearly has done, that's okay with me. We've already talked about this. Her authority is $25,000. She doesn't really, from a purchasing policy perspective, even need to bring this forward. She could just hire whoever she needs to hire and move on. So I don't want anyone to feel that we're breaking any rules by sole source. There's nothing, I just want to alleviate that concern from a purchasing policy strictly. Either way is fine. It is a little more cumbersome to do an RFP because it does involve a lot of staff time. But if Ashley moved forward and just hired her with a sole source under $10,000, well within her purview, and there's no violation from anything from an auditing or procurement perspective. But again, obviously you're the board, it's up to you guys to decide, but I just wanted to let you know we're not breaking any rules, so I didn't want you to have any concern about that. Okay.
In favor, say, Ashley, do what you need to do, and let's move on because it's an area of concern.
And it sounds like as soon as we can get working with it, the better.
So do we need a motion?
I made a motion that we put together an RFP, a simple RFP, not anything cumbersome, just for no other reason than to avoid any appearance of impropriety. It's a small town. People know each other, and I think it's just the best way to go.
I just don't know. Honestly, is there a way to enter into a short-term contract with her?
That's what it would be.
That's what
Can we enter in with that short-term contract with the thought of moving to a RFP later in order to give the farmers market people now the stability they need and want, but then also to be fair and equitable to everybody and allow people to put in? I think that might be the
Why would you need it later?
compromise.
The thought process was that this was going to be short-term to help us revamp it. And then after that, then we would decide what direction we want to go from there. One of the directions we were considering is that Ms. Yeager would train staff, and then staff would eventually take it over current staff.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't ever intended to be a long-term contract. Not saying that through this process, anything could happen, But if it did, then that would be come to y'all during the budget season, or there would be another time for y'all to consider that.
Okay, I'm
Yes,
sorry. That wasn't clear to me at all.
Yeah.
That might have been me missing that, but that wasn't clear to me at all. So that changes my, what are we considering short-term right now?
How long do you think it'll take?
Well, we talked about just to the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, I think it
Just
was.
as a round number.
Yeah, just till the end of the fiscal year is a round number, just to get us through. I mean, it's just gonna take a couple months to
Okay.
get through the process of having some community input, to talk to the farmers, to see what's going on in surrounding cities, you know, and to redo the rules and that sort of thing.
Okay.
It shouldn't be too long.
That changes the way I feel about this completely.
Would this be a lump sum contract? Sorry.
Every time you
We're
turn it-
still negotiating it, but you know, typically you pay as work is done. You might pay some at the beginning to get it going, but just periodically she probably would be paid monthly. Again, because we're still working out the details, but the thought process more was monthly, just like our attorneys or any other professional service.
Okay, well, I have completely changed my position at this time.
Okay.
I make a motion that we go with the process that the city manager had started with Ms. Sharon Yeager.
Do we need a second, an actual motion on that? And second to do, for just to allow the city manager to move forward? Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Public comment?
All those opposed say aye.
No.
Public.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Public comment.
Public comment, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I apologize. I know, sorry. Sorry, second one. I'm gonna get through it. Got a little excited,
It's okay. You're new at it. That's
Thank you.
fine. Linda Jones, for the record. I too am looking forward to public meetings. I think the City of High Springs citizens need to have a voice in this. Can you not hear me? Okay. I think the citizens need to have a voice in this. That we, as a citizen, are having less and less voice in what's going on in the city. I would like to see a meeting held to let everybody know what's going on. Again, this is in a meeting, it was noticed, but people aren't aware of what's going on. And all of a sudden, bang, it's in front of you. So I think they need more notice as to what's going on. It's only because I, as you well know, pay attention to what's going on with the meetings that I'm here. I'm also concerned, and I'm sorry our attorney is not here, the city attorney. For those of you who do not know, Sharon was one of the candidate managers. What was she? The co-campaign manager for Ross. And you know, it's funny because I saw you roll your eyes when Catherine was talking, and she was making some good points. We don't necessarily maybe need to put out an RFP. Maybe an advertisement would do. But I do think there may be people out there who are interested in this position who may have as much knowledge as Sharon, and maybe people would be more palatable to another position. So I think you need to open it up to the public. I don't think you should make these arbitrary decisions by yourself. And Ashley does have a lot on her desk, I understand that, but it's her job. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Okay. Now, we do have a motion and a second on the floor. So all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion passes. Moving on to item 5, the CRA report update.
So as a requirement of keeping our funding for the, our CRA funding, we are required to do a CRA report every year, which was submitted on time. although I'm just presenting it to you now. And it basically goes over, things that we did last year. It's in front of you, so I'll run, and y'all are familiar with most of the things we did. So I'll just run through briefly those things. So one of the big things that we discussed at the joint city-county meeting last week was the CRA expansion, finding of necessity that was complete. It seemed that it was met with some favorable comments, so that made me really happy. I've already contacted Tom Kohler with GAI, so he is going to assist us with the further legalities to work that out with the county. So that was one of the things that was included in the report. As well as we used CRA funding to start a facilities plan for, we're calling it a municipal complex. But basically, as you know, we're running out of space in City Hall, the police department, school, there's all people are in office and conference rooms. So, good planning is necessary so that we are focusing our money for the future and we are making investments wisely. So currently, staff has been working with the consultant on the facilities plan. We're 50% complete, and it should be coming forward to y'all soon. Infrastructure improvements. Some of the improvements were included in last year's CRA report because they were started last year but completed this past fiscal year. So some of the infrastructure improvements that were made were sidewalk, curb, gutter, and drainage improvements along Railroad Avenue near the CRA building, the LED flashing crosswalk system installed at 184th Street and 27th Street. And if you go by the new safety railings outside the Chamber of Commerce, I really think they turned out looking really good. Again, accolades. Thomas was somewhere, so Thomas worked on that. Some of the facade grants that were given, those were similar to some of the infrastructure improvements that were started the previous fiscal year, finished this fiscal year. The ones that were started previously were the Barber Building, Gavitt Building, and Two Finger Properties. They turned out wonderfully. So there were around $35,000 in grants to that. And most recently, the Prohibition Pizza roof for $5,000. And there's pictures of those improvements in the report, which gave a nice facelift to downtown. As well as there were some placemaking activities, including new banners and decorations for the light poles downtown, patriotic and seasonal banners, and fall and Christmas decorations along the light poles. There were also some landscaping improvements that have recently been completed, and dead and outdated trees and shrubs were removed and replaced with new native trees and shrubs, as well as hanging plants were added in designated areas. Although this was not a CRA activity, I also would be remiss if I failed to mention the Heart of High Springs mural, Wild Dogs mural activity that took place that has been received favorably. There's been many wonderful comments on the murals in the community, as well as we continued the Play It Cool in High Springs billboard along I-75. The total of all projects this past fiscal year was $146,500. So you could say we did take a little bit more from fund balance, but it was, it was a substantial fund balance. And so if we don't spend it, then eventually the county is going to say, why aren't you doing more capital improvements? So we did those. There were 11 projects started, 9 completed. And the total expenditures from the redevelopment trust fund were $266,416. And the taxable value in the CRA districts was $24,317,000. So we are following the CRA plan closely as we move forward in projects. There are 7 areas for us to move forward on in the CRA plan. Of those areas, we touched on 5. Economic development, sense of place and appearance, civic and open spaces, standards and regulations, and keepers of the vision. The 2 areas we did not focus on last year were transportation, access, and mobility. And you could kind of say we did a little with the crosswalks, but, with the specific projects that were in the CRA plan, I didn't count that. So we need to look at that this year, doing one of those and something in the category of environmental sustainability. So that's the CRA report for this past fiscal year, and hope to do more projects this year. Are there any questions? Okay.
Crosswalking system. Thomas, that's the worst I ever seen. Those lightings, you cannot see them.
Okay.
I
All right,
mean,
well, we'll go back and reevaluate that.
yeah, and most people don't even use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to
And-
hear the feedback.
Yeah, and when it do flash, you maybe at night, but during the day you cannot see it.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go back and look at it.
All right, thank you.
The railing in front of the chamber looks excellent. I walked out, I saw it today. It looks really good.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Chair report, I guess that's me. I don't really have anything. The one thing I do want to say is what I took from that joint meeting with the county commissioners the other day about our CRA is that we are moving in the right direction. Excuse me. And I want to thank the city manager and city staff for doing that for us and being able to push that through and get stuff done because they were very, very complimentary of y'all's efforts and abilities. So thank you for that. Really painted us in a good light. Staff report now.
I don't have one much because the agenda's been very long. I know we need to get started with the commission meeting. But I just kind of wanted to update y'all on some things that we're working on. We are working on updating demographics and psychodemographics. We are working on doing a food, lodging, and dining guide. We are working on doing a business guide. So we're just kind of working on compiling a lot of base information that's needed for the community, and so we can get out there and promote the district and some of the investment opportunities to the commercial real estate industry. So I just wanted y'all to know we're focusing on those things. I pulled Ashley in with my office to work with Amy because I've kind of given them a lot to do, and I think we're just really excited about moving forward. And so when we get those materials done, we'll share them with you.
Perfect. Announcements, do we have any announcements? And open to public comment for the CRA. Doesn't appear we have any. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, meeting adjourned.
Okay, now I think we're ready. All right, at this time, I'd like to call this city commission meeting to order at 6:40 PM on April 27th, 2023. With that, I will ask for roll call, please. Here.
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 All right, with that, we're going to ask Pastor Jacob Newton for our invocation, and then we will follow that with our Pledge of Allegiance.
Kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you that in you we live and move and have our being. We pray that you would bless the affairs that are going on in this evening. We pray for a special hand of guidance to the city commissioners and the citizens that are present and all of the staff that have affairs in this meeting tonight. God, we pray that you would grant your blessings and favor over our city, over the city of High Springs. We pray that you would allow for your guidance and your wisdom to lead this meeting. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. All right. At this time, I'm going to ask for a motion on the agenda, but before you give me that, under new business, item number 2, can we remove that for tonight, please? Under new business, item number 2. Now I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
All right, it has been properly moved and second that the agenda be approved. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, please. All right, agenda is approved with appropriate change. All right, item D is approval of consent agenda.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda for the meeting minutes as amended by the clerk in that email.
Okay,
Second.
all right, it's been properly moved and second that the amended minute be approved. All those in favor respond with aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Okay, minutes approved. Item E is special presentation, which is a proclamation declaring April 30th, 2023 through May 6th, 2023 as Municipal Clerk Week.
Madam Mayor, I'll be happy to read that if you'd like me
Please.
to. It's a proclamation of the City of High Springs, State of Florida. I'm especially happy to read it on behalf of Angela.
Yes.
We're blessed to have very good clerks in this city, historically and at present. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk is a time-honored and vital part of local government that exists throughout the world. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at all other levels. Whereas the municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. Whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through the participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations, where it is the most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now, therefore, our mayor, Gloria James, as the mayor of High Springs, Florida, does hereby proclaim the week of April 30th to May 6th, 2023 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extends our appreciation to our city clerk, Angela Stone, and assistant city clerk, Jamie Everacci, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they provide and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. In witness whereof, our mayor is setting her hand and seal and caused to be affixed the official seal of the city of High Springs, Florida, this 23rd day of April, 2023. Signature for Gloria James, our mayor, and attested by Angela Enstone, our city clerk. And that's actually the 27th day of April. And the appropriate motion is to pass the proclamation as read by its entirety, Madam Mayor.
Okay. And all those in favor of passing this proclamation, respond with aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Proclamation's approved.
I say give our clerk a hand.
Yes, I agree with that.
She make executive decisions also. If y'all haven't noticed, the new picture on the wall back there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, item number 2 is presentation of total storage project.
Mayor, may I?
Yes.
So the total storage project is located near Memorial Park. There's an existing storage facility there. It would be an expansion of the existing facility. Currently, there is not an application in for this yet. It would be an application for a conditional use permit, which you would have, when it's applied for, you'll have the option to choose whether it's a use that you want or not. Additional storage on the property. So the people with total storage are here today to introduce you to the project.
Okay. Good evening.
Alto, I'm the project engineer, and I'm here with Josh Blackford. He's the owner of the property. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you all tonight about this project. We had a pre-application meeting with the city staff on March 16th, and Ashley suggested that we come before you to tell you a little bit about it and solicit some of your comments and maybe give us some suggestions on how we could move the project forward. So the project's located south of the downtown area, across from the First United Methodist Church. Next slide, please. There is an existing 36-unit mini-storage building on one of the parcels. Josh owns those 4 parcels that are outlined. The next slide, please. 2 of the parcels are currently zoned C3. One of those is where the existing 36 units are. And 2 of the parcels are currently zoned R1, single-family residential. The adjacent zoning around the sides of the property, east and west, are one side is C3, the other side is a combination of C3 and actually R1. There's some agricultural zoning on the east side as well, and to the south, single-family residential zoning. As was discussed previously a few minutes ago, the C3 commercial zoning, based on the ordinances, allow mini storage units, storage facilities with a conditional use permit. We would have to talk to you about rezoning probably 2 of those parcels to C3, and then also getting a conditional use permit to do the total expansion project. Which the next slide, please. This would be the total build out of the project: 192 mini storage units and 44 RV and boat storage units, and also an office. The first phase of the project would be on the existing parcel that's zone C3 currently right now, and it has the existing 36 units. That phase would include the addition of 81 mini storage units on that first parcel. And again, there's an existing building with 36 units on there. Next slide, please. Second phase of the project would be kind of market-driven. If the first phase was filled up, all the mini storage units, then we would want to expand it and do the adjacent parcel, which is, again, currently zoned residential, but we'd have to go through a rezoning on that parcel with this phase 2 project and the conditional use permit. The final phase would be the total build-out of the project, which would add 44 RV and boat storage units. And again, this was market-driven. If these phases may incorporate some boat storage or RV storage units, less mini storage, it's a market-driven project, and we wouldn't know exactly how it would be laid out, but this is a conceptual plan of how it could be laid out. Next slide, please. Since Josh acquired the project in the last couple of years, he's done some improvements to it. If you look at the photo on the left, that was the storage building prior to his acquisition of it. He's gone ahead and he's put some fencing around it. There's a higher level of maintenance. He's worked on the building. He's done some pavement restoration and building restoration, and he's actually, put a control gate there to control the access to the unit. Here are some of the images of the existing property around the current building. Okay. So as the adjacent uses, the building to the west is shown on the top left corner there. That's residents and also a property person that Josh has hired to look after the property. The middle photo is on a parcel. You can see adjacent parcel. There's a Tight Seal Incorporated. Is that? Yeah, Tight Seal Incorporated. They're currently storing equipment on that piece of property. That's zoned residential right now, but it's being used for commercial uses. To the south, across the roadway, there is a single-family home under construction there, and then immediately to the east, there's a kids academy, which Josh had sold that parcel to the people that are currently running that. Next slide. So looking at some of the other examples of similar projects in Alachua County, this is Box Turtle. This is an existing double-use, again, mini storage and boat storage and RV storage facility in another part of the county. Next slide, please. So this kind of gives you some idea. If you look at the boat storage facility and the RV facility up on the top right, from the People's Choice Storage, this is something similar to what maybe we would be talking about as far as the RV and boat storage parts of it. Okay. So anyway, that's a very brief presentation, but we, again, are very early in the process, and we would like to have any comments that you may want to offer to us at this point. So.
Hi there. Thanks for coming tonight and bringing this forward for some questions. And also, since you've taken over the property, it does look better. So thank you. One thing I'll say as you go forward, take a look at the lighting that you're going to do. A lot of times I know the tendency is to make it really bright. And I know there's security issues and that type of thing. But overlighting and that type of thing, if we can avoid that and still accomplish the security concerns, I think that would be beneficial just in terms of a nighttime aesthetic. On your slides up there, you had the property boundary go back there. That one, that lower parcel.
Yes.
It shows the property boundary going over the road.
Yeah, the survey, it actually does. The property boundary does actually go over the road there, even though there's a prescriptive right, as far as the city is concerned, as far as they maintain that right of way. But this is a very recent boundary survey that we had.
Yeah.
It does show that the boundaries do
So as you
extend.
go forward with staff, I guess that we might want to need to take a look at that
Yes.
so that we make sure we can get that handled, because I'm sure some of that goes back to when there was a CSX
Right.
line down there and property was abandoned and went to the
It
adjoining
probably is.
property owner.
That's part of the process. The proposed build-out that I've shown on the concept actually, maintains all that. I don't build to the extent.
Right,
of the property line.
you allowed for that, but I'm
Right.
just looking at it, technically, that shows it's over what we would call a city road at the moment. So I
Right.
was concerned about that, and so that would be one of the things to check off on the list there. And then the other one is a little bit bigger, and you can keep that same slide up. I guess, and I don't know who really can comment on this, but when I worked with West Skiles for so many years, I learned a lot about our shallow aquifer here in High Springs.
Mm-hmm.
And your project is very, very close to well 1 and 2 for the city of High Springs. And if built out, there'd be two things that would make Wes nervous. One, the amount of impervious impervious surface that goes in so close to the well, and then the channeling of the stormwater to a typical retention pond.
Right.
We already know with well 1 and 2 that when we have a significant storm event, that generally one of the wells ends up not being able to be used, which means that water from the riverside is pushing back towards our well field.
Right.
And you would be right before that. So it would be really catastrophic if we had, and we know around High Springs, you build a retention area, they get sinkholes and chimneys in them all the time. Right. If it were that close to our well field and it happened to impact the well that stays good, we would be in a whole lot of trouble.
Right. So this is something you want us to check well field impacts with the retention.
I guess I really want staff and engineering to really take a look at what that impact would be, and then ways to potentially mitigate that. And I know there might be a cha-ching that goes with that, you know, impervious concrete or pervious concrete, you know, for instance, or something. But I just think we need to address it and look at it.
And your main concern is, you know, obviously the total build out. I mean, because, you know, as we go through these phases, I mean, that's one of the things that we're interested in doing. And we do have, you know, the first phase of this project is, you know, 1/3 of it's already there. So that, you know, that's one thing, you know, we probably would want to move forward with that. But we can also, you know, with the staff, we can look at the impacts of this retention basin. And we have a geotechnical team. We have actually gone and done borings on the site already, so we already got information. But we do have a, you know, geotechnical engineer, which would assist us with this analysis. So.
Okay, thanks. I want to ask the question, and
Right.
just so you know, I'm going to be all over it because of the two
Right.
wells that are so close
Right.
to that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Madam Mayor, may I? Do you have a potentiometric surface map of the area?
Not currently, no. So we're in a very early process here. This is, you know, we just initiated this project here just the last couple of months, so we haven't gotten to that point yet. But, you know, I mean, I can get one from the Water Management District, Swanee River Water Management District, but.
Yeah, because I mean, seeing what direction groundwater is flowing
Right.
regionally right there would be pretty important to Commissioner Ambrose's point.
Yes.
And you've got a couple residential structures to the north and the south. I would also be interested in seeing what kind of vegetative buffer.
Buffering, okay.
You know, these people are building a new house. They weren't
Right.
thinking there'd be RV and boat storage when they bought. I don't know, have you reached out to the adjacent property owners to discuss this with them?
Not at this early phase, but
Okay.
yes. But that's something that would be, during the process, we
Right.
would have to, you
Right.
know,
Right.
during any conditional use or rezoning process.
Yeah.
But yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. I think, well, and I have one more question, actually. So if, as long as we were able to address these issues, and that's what we're here tonight, to the commission's satisfaction, public satisfaction, I mean, do you see that could we move ahead with this project? And when we say move ahead, you know, like we just talked about a minute ago, the phase one is, you know, is pretty much, you know, 1/3 of it's already built out. Is that something that you feel, is there any other flags in this, and as far as that you're concerned about, anything that would stop us from moving ahead, as long as these parameters were satisfied that you brought up?
You just have to apply for the conditional use permit and then let the commission vote, because even if they give you direction and say yes, like, it doesn't matter till
Okay.
they vote at the time of conditional use permit.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Presentation of Catherine Taylor Park project.
Good evening, Commission. Item 3 with the Catherine Taylor Douglas Community Center. I was given this task to look at it and try to get it on board and get it on the way. It's been staying still for a little while. I thought maybe all y'all have seen the scope of work, and I guess that was my assumption. And the drawings, so I can always forward them all to you. I know some of the commissioners have seen it. So what I wanted to do is go all the way back to the main area is getting everything tested. I gave you a little cheat sheet, just a quick summary. I did pass out some that has been asked for all 3 testing. And of course, lead paint and asbestos and mold. So as you see the little cheat sheet summary that I fixed up for you real quick, there was 27 tests surface for lead paint, and some of it came back. Of course, your door, castings, upper wall, ceiling, stuff that we already knew that was there. Our plan of action is, you see the recommendation from the environmentalists is removing. And my recommendation is removing all of it, that we never have to worry about saying it again. For, our representatives, our commission don't have to worry about it. Our citizens don't have to worry about it. Whoever goes there to have a good time. So the mold area, as you see, they said there's none. What they were able to find out, no mold. Airborne mold is normal range, and asbestos and your lead paint is going to be removed. Bid openings were today at 4 o'clock. There was only one bidder. Staff and myself, city manager, and Mr. Bruce hasn't had the opportunity to sit down and talk about it. It did come in a little bit high, which we knew it would. This was a 2-year project. So we knew from then to now it would be a little bit higher. A lot of it is the removal compared to, getting it all up. But basically it's going through the whole building, kind of gutting it out completely, adding new bathrooms, handicap accessible, new painting, new flooring, new ceiling, new air conditioning, new power. It's going to be a new building, except for the outer block walls, the windows, everything. So I think it'll be something, we all can be proud of. But we will come back with you once we all get the time to sit down and discuss the bids and bring it to the commission. We did have 5 people that did look into it. I met a bunch of people out there. Once they found out all the testing with the lead paint and asbestos, they all ran, except for one. They just didn't want to get involved. And personally, I wouldn't either.
Okay, we got any comments or questions?
It's an old building.
It's an old building.
Oh, yeah. It's old. We know it.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say how old, and I'll be telling my age.
The plaque's there. Because I want to get that restored too and put it back on the building. Bruce and I have talked about bringing a lot of the history back to that building. The colors, the mascot, everything was a ram. And so we want to bring a lot of the history back to it, that area, and make people proud.
Yeah. I know most people see it as the old daycare center. Way before that, it was the cafeteria for the school. It seemed large when I was smaller, but larger, but now it looks so small.
It does look much smaller.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of history in the building.
Mm-hmm. If I'm not mistaken, I think my grandmother was the first manager out there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you've taken this project and driven it, and gotten us really something to look for and do. There's a lot of activity going on over there with a lot of infill lots, and people are building, and I think the city spending some capital dollars to really make a building that's just sitting there deteriorating useful and has so much history is important, to include that for the community. So I look forward to moving this forward, and unfortunately, Ashley, that means you're going to need to find some operating dollars for it in the coming budget.
Wait, Diane.
Diane. But I'm glad to see some work being done on it too.
Well, the project is not just the building. Bruce and Miss Ashley and myself, we've talked about it. We're talking about the whole park as a whole. But right now, it's phase one. Let's worry about the building and expand. We want to make it safe for our community, adding more lights, redoing the basketball courts and all that, which I'm gonna ask Chief Shepherd to help us on for safety reasons. But we're looking at, security cameras all the way around the building, try to get stuff safe for our community.
Very good.
Madam Mayor, can I ask one question?
Yes.
Thank you for having Jennifer send me all the analytical. I looked over it. In the lead report, it referenced 2 drinking water samples. There was no drinking water analytical
There's
in
nothing
there.
hooked up.
She told me that there was nothing hooked up, so you just might want to point out to them that their signed and sealed report says they pulled two water samples.
Well, it has to be, because we're fixing to redo all the plumbing too.
So the plumbing's going to be new, so,
It'll be
okay.
completely new plumbing, everything.
There we go. That's all I wanted to
Sewer
know.
lines, everything.
Thank you so much for following up on the indoor air quality. That makes me feel better knowing that it's good to
We
go.
just want to do the job right.
Absolutely. Thank you
And
so much.
we all feel safe.
Yep.
I think what somebody said, that community is growing. So
Yes.
that park is going to be utilized. And just food for thought, there's 2 lots adjacent to that property that we can possibly one day expand that park area.
Yeah, I think we've looked at that already.
They own this one.
Yeah. It would be nice, it would be nice if, I don't know, most of y'all aware, out to the community school, the brick building sitting out there, kind of behind the, not behind, but kind of on the side of the cafeteria. That building used to be over in that area. That used to be the library. Yeah, that used to be the library, the brick building. They actually, which we think they couldn't do it, they actually picked that building up and took it through downtown and took it out to that school. It would be so nice if we could take that building and move it back. But I think that's almost impossible. Well, you can't say impossible because we said it's impossible when they moved it out there. But just would be nice.
Yeah, it would be a nice thing.
And that used to be Catherine L. Taylor Library.
Doing good, you're doing good.
Yes, indeed. No, sir.
No. Any audience comments? Yes.
Lanier Smith. For this visit, I'll be here from the Lions Club. I just wanted to say that Easter, we were part of a...
That's not good.
Wait, we're not there yet.
No. I just wanted to comment on this.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you. I know we're not ready.
Okay.
Catherine Taylor Clark, Catherine Taylor Park
Yes.
project. I was just there at Easter with our Lions Club and the train for an Easter function.
Okay.
And there were hundreds of kids there, hundreds of adults. Everybody was just having a real good time. And I remember looking at that building and wondering, what's going on with that? Because there was nobody around it. So I think I was kind of inspired by his presentation as well, and I hope that y'all will go through with that project. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, Jeffrey Connolly. I think I've been doing a little digging into the open spaces or wild places additional half-cent tax. I think this project falls right within line with what those funds could be used for. So before we start spending the additional half-cent revenue that we're going to be getting kicked to, we may want to put it behind this because this sounds exactly what that was designed for acquisition and building out and for infrastructure for Parks and Rec. So that's 2 cents.
This project is currently funded out of the Wild Spaces Public Places funding.
New engine is an awful lot of tax dollars. That's our tax.
That's it. It's working.
The citizens of this community
don't want any more large developments. I urge the commissioners not to approve any more large developments. Going to another subject, High Springs Brewing. Do the commissioners want the name of their city associated with a product that kills 400 people each day?
Okay, Mr. Lynch got ahead of me a little bit, but that's okay. Under our unfinished business, we don't have any unfinished business tonight. So because of that, we will move right along to our citizens' requests and comments for issues that are not on the agenda. Please state your name for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please. No one? Oh, okay.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners.
All right.
My name is Lanier Smith, and I just want to ask the Commissioner of the City if there's any business for the Chamber tonight. We're actively engaged in getting ready for the Pioneer Day this weekend, and I got a little bit of daylight left, so.
Get a little bit left.
I'd like to go back to work if you don't mind. You have any questions or anything? Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
All right. Commissioner's response, anything to respond to? So let's move. Oh, go ahead.
Jeffrey Connolly back.
You're going to have to move faster.
Sorry. I know, we want to get out of here early tonight. No. I just wanted to extend my gratitude to the entire team, from the office staff to the Public Works to almost every department that has been helping get Pioneer Days to where it needs to be so we can bring in the event successfully this year. Ashley, thank you for the lending of your staff. Bruce, Thomas, everyone has been very, for me, it's been a joy to work with you through this process. So I'm looking to see this get executed well, and I just wanted to say publicly thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you to you, Mr. Connolly and Mr. Smith. I know how many hours you have been spending out there. We appreciate you guys.
All right, let's move on to new business. Item 1, discuss, consider, and act on a solid waste franchise agreement with Waste Pro.
Madam Mayor,
I think we have a new one on our desk.
Mayor, before you begin this, I just, according to state rules, if I'm going to have to recuse myself from voting, I should announce it before the discussion. So I am going to have to recuse myself. Recent purchase of a company. I inherited an ongoing contract with Waste Pro for a toilet, and since it's an ongoing contract, I have a financial relationship with the applicant. So.
Thank you for letting us know that.
Madam Mayor, the contract before you is self-explanatory. In fact, it's very, very similar to the contract that we had with our former waste hauler. And this contract is of the same terms almost entirely. There's the standard provisions for the 3-year contract, definition of the terms. There is the renewal period that can happen if the city or the contractor agree to renew. This is being done under the single source or sole source provisions of the Florida statutes. It's been properly advertised. It provides for residential and commercial collection, provides the rates in Exhibit A for the purposes of the contract, and a number of very standard clauses as to notices, severability, governing law, that sort of thing. It also provides that in the event that there is repeated missteps with regard to the performance of the contract, there is liquidated damages for each case. And the appropriate motion at the appropriate time will be for the City of High Springs to enter into a solid waste franchise agreement with Waste Pro of Florida, Inc.
Okay, commissioners, any comments or questions?
Saw a lot of new trash cans getting rolled out.
Mayor. Mayor, the copy on your desk is the same one I emailed you. It's just not, it's a clean version, not marked out.
I saw it.
Just for clarification.
Mayor? I mean, I can comment. I just can't vote. So, currently in the Florida legislature, there potentially is the idea of removing the city's ability to require exclusive use of a trash hauler. And I believe there's some language in here in 10.2 that would allow the fee schedule to be readjusted if there were significant changes in something. Would it be better to just say if that happens, which basically if we lose the exclusive right, which is in 4.1, which we're granting them, should we just, at that point, if the state makes it that difficult for cities and whatever, that we just renegotiate the contract instead of talking about the fee schedule? Would that make more sense, or do you just leave it the way it is?
Essentially, that's what we'd have to do anyhow. Would be renegotiated. This was standard language under current statutory requirements, so we decided to leave it the same. So if that does come down, then we can renegotiate portions of this contract and clean it up. When I met with Danielle and I had more than one conversation on this. This has been going on for, this has been pretty much my life for the last couple of weeks, trying to clean all this up. And we felt it was best just to leave it this way for now. And if there's a legislative change, then we can come back and make the adjustments for a couple reasons. One, we're on the 11th hour at this point for a contract, and two, we needed to make sure we have trash service for May 1st. So there's a couple things that are still up for discussion, but this meets the nuts and bolts of the contract that we need to get in place to get moving forward.
Thank you, Bruce.
Madam Mayor, if I may, Bruce, the amount of work that's gone into this, I can't even imagine. But I wanted to thank you because this has been a real thorn in people's side for a long time. And Mr. Walker, thank you for getting us there. People are going to have lots of questions. Kevin, I promise I won't need anything from you in the next month because he's going to be taking all those questions. But this is a great move forward. And some of the things we've talked about specifically in terms of alleviating some of the downtown issues are all positives. And Dana's been great. So I really appreciate you guys getting this. And thank you for the red line copy. That was hugely helpful for me.
I will say that when I got elected, I really thought I was going to get a lot of different phone calls, but the number of phone calls I've gotten on trash, never thought I'd get that. So I am extremely excited that we are moving forward on this. And now my mom can stop beating me up over over GFL not picking up her trash. Love you, Mama.
Make it clean, make it clean. Just two things I have here.
I have one question I need to ask too. While you trying to find yours?
No, I'm good.
You good? Well, you good?
No, just for, on the summary sheet, there will be no Fry.QY pickup. Friday cry? It's there, but it just spelled wrong.
Some of this was converted back and forth to PDF Word, so some stuff got jumbled up. We thought we got them all. And we did not.
No. Yeah. So now for clarification.
Friday pickup,
Okay.
other than recycles.
Right.
We will not do anything other than recycles on Friday.
So for clarity, so tomorrow we put the black trash cans out with the recyclers, and they're gonna pick them up and take them away when they.
They'll pick up what they can take away tomorrow, and they'll be here Saturday, I believe, as well, picking up the last little bit or any stragglers.
Okay.
But the idea is to have, they're supposed to have all their stuff out by tomorrow,
Okay.
or by Saturday, excuse me.
Gotcha. Because somebody gonna put that tomorrow trash in new bins.
Oh, we know.
Well, it won't be by me because we don't have new bins yet.
Well, I have mine in my driveway.
Your bins will be there.
Yeah.
We're only trying to get 6,000 out between recycles and regular trash cans, so it's just taking a couple days.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with Commissioner Wurst. I know you guys have done a great job on this, and I'm glad to see it come into fruition because we used to have so many problems and we are looking forward to things being better. And I again say thank you for all the work that you put into this. I'm gonna hold on to that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna hold on to that one. I'll put it over here. All right, number 2 we removed, so let's move. Oh, wait a minute, hold it. All right, let's back up. Yes.
Yeah, Waste Pro is out there.
Yeah.
First aid.
I give you all the credit, and I'm ready to move on now. All right. Somebody want to address this?
I'll make
for
a
me?
motion, we accept the contract.
Second.
Oh, now, it has been properly moved in second that the contract with Waste Pro be approved. All those in favor respond with aye.
Public comments.
Yeah. I didn't do that? Oh, my goodness.
It's easily forgotten sometimes.
See what you do to me. Any audience comments?
I got yelled at when I missed it.
See? Okay, very good. Okay, now, all those in favor of approval of this agreement, please respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Now I got it right.
And one abstain.
And one abstain. Okay.
2 is gone.
Now, item number 3. Discuss, consider,
something for you.
and act on declaring the fire apparatus Squad 296 as surplus property and authorize disposal of vehicle.
This is the 2006 Kenworth we got from Columbia County in 2014, 2015, as part of a contract we had with them. We replaced that vehicle back in January when the new squad rolled in. And now it's appropriate to surplus that vehicle to take it off our books so we can get rid of the asset. So staff is recommending that we can put it out for surplus property and send it out to bid.
Comments, commissioners? Yes.
I had a question about this. I mean, we're gonna go out to surplus. Do you have any idea on how much revenue that might generate? And the reason I'm asking is because I know some departments across the country have donated used fire equipment to Ukraine. And there are a number of organizations that are collecting that equipment and then actually figuring out how to get it there. And I'm wondering if this is an opportunity to do it, and if so, what dollars would we be leaving on the table?
It really has no value to any fire department in the area. We've reached out. Probably starting bid would be somewhere around $5,000 and go from there. Somewhere between 4 and 5, and see what kind of interest we would generate. We've had a couple private businesses ask what we were doing with it in town. Some of the tree services, some other companies, but outside of that, I don't see a fire department bidding on it. The county has a similar unit to this they put out to bid, and it received no bid. So it's kind of going to be, we'll see.
So if a motion was made that staff investigate and see if it's an opportunity to donate, and we do that first before we declare it surplus, with the caveat we investigate donating it at no cost to us to Ukraine, and if that doesn't work out, then we just go the normal process and see what we get for it.
The direct staff to do, we will be more than happy to look into it.
Any other commissioners?
I would. Let's see. All right. How do you say that? Not like that. No, I think if we have anybody in this community that's interested in it, we should try to keep equipment in this community, not send it to a place we've just sent, I don't know, like $100 and something billion. That would be the people around here can use it, and we can sell it around here. We can bring back a little revenue that doesn't take up time. We've already heard from the city manager about, what's on the plate of everybody right now. I just don't think that's I don't think that's in our wheelhouse.
I'm half Ukrainian, and I appreciate your perspective, but I think it'd probably cost more to ship it over there, unfortunately, than it would to donate it. I don't know how.
That's what I've done a little research. There are organizations that do that.
Oh, is that
Basically,
right?
the city
Okay.
says you can have it, and then they handle it from there on. So there would be no cost to citizens. But I can also understand, hey, if we can help a local tree service that can use a heavy duty, cabin chassis and do something, I get that too. So I'm just throwing it out there to just see what people think.
Bruce, do you need a CDL to drive this?
Not in its current configuration, but.
And it's, the engine runs? I've got a 15-year-old looking for a car. This would be pretty cool.
Oh, no,
Wait
not
a
saying
minute.
15
It
years
doesn't
old.
say we're
That's
driving a golf
right.
cart, is
We
it?
don't want them to try that one.
This is larger than a golf cart.
I know, but she's very good in vehicles. Golf carts, not so much. The bigger, the better
Imagine what she could
drives
do in
it.
this thing.
Oh, my goodness.
Huh?
That could be pretty cool.
You just put new railing up, no.
She drives that way. She'll stay away from the railing.
Yeah. Well, I'm in favor of Messi. See, can we sell it? If we can't sell it, because I hate for it just to sit there in that field collecting. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
If we can't sell it and the community can use it, I would rather go that way and then make sending it out as a third option. Yes.
I make a motion, we declare the engine surplus and that the city staff dispose of it as they are able.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that this fire truck be declared surplus. All those in favor respond with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Any comments out there? No? All right.
Nobody need a truck.
Nobody need a truck. Okay. City Attorney's report and update.
Nothing to report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. City Manager.
I have nothing today either. Everyone already knows about Pioneer Days, so.
Okay. Assistant City Manager.
Working on a garbage contract.
Oh, look out here. Commissioners, Commissioner Grunda.
No, it's just, hey, let's keep it rolling. Thank y'all.
Oh, we all confused.
I wanted to give a shout out to those two gentlemen back in the back for the amazing Boston butts you guys smoked. And there's no sausage up here, Mr. Allengood. I'm just saying. You didn't give me any sausage tonight. And you guys were defined community for me. You and Bruce and coming together and raising that money for our robotics team was an amazing community effort, and I really appreciate your time. And Pioneer Days is looking good. And Christy Swilly, she was there. I saw her there. That's awesome. That is awesome. If I could learn to smoke like you guys do, my family would be really happy.
I don't know how Christy did it, but she talked Winn-Dixie into donating $120.
I know. Well, yeah, and Jimmy was right there, part of that mix.
We got all the history we needed today.
I believe it. I believe it. It was a great, great event, and I really appreciate you guys. And that's all I got. Thank you.
First of all, just on behalf of the committee for the salt collection this past weekend, we want to say thank you to the city for your support and. I'm sorry. It's his fault. He told me to keep turning it off. Yeah, on behalf of the SAL committee for this weekend, I want to thank everybody for your support. And it wasn't able to be there, but I seen it on YouTube, and it was a great success. And I'm gonna say this: it was a family that the young man that was killed here at the police department. I mean, by the chief of police. That family finally got closure. after 88 years. After 88 years, they finally got closure of having a memorial service for their uncle. I don't know how to put this one, Antoine, city manager. And some people kind of having concerns about that chief picture still hanging in the police department. That's just food for thought. That's food for thought. Also, I'd like to invite y'all to the High Springs Homecoming, which will be February the 19th, the 20th, and the 21st. On that Friday night, we'll be having a homecoming banquet. We'll be recognizing 3 pioneer families from the area. And on that Saturday, May the 20th at noon, we'll have a Freedom Festival in Catherine L. Taylor Park. Fun for all ages. There'll be vendors, bounce houses, music, and games. And then on that Sunday, May the 21st, at 11 a.m., we have a worship service at Mount Carmel United Methodist Church. So please come and join us for a weekend of fun.
Make sure everybody got your date right, because you said February 1st.
What I said?
February.
May.
Yeah, May.
Not next year, May. We can't back it up. I like to back it up, but I can't.
Back it up.
Yeah. So please, if you're not doing anything, come on out and join us for a weekend of fun. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, the slide from the robotics, which I think is wonderful. Expect to follow along on Facebook because the group travels out there the 11th. So thank you and good luck. I noticed the Florida League of Cities on Monday the 8th, part of their online presentation for city and municipal worker or government officials has to do with youth councils. So it made me wonder, we were soliciting applications for a youth council, and I don't know what the status of that is, but if we actually had young people apply, then we should get to the point where we're responding and doing something with that and following through. I think would be a good example, and I thought Monday's a good opportunity for maybe us to look at what we need to do to really make it successful. And so I wanted to make sure that all of us knew about that opportunity on Monday the 8th.
Didn't we need one more person? 2. Okay.
We have 5. Okay, we need 7. So we still need 2 more young people to serve on the mayor's youth advisory council.
I ain't got no young people. Not that at that age.
I know there are 2 with robotics, but they're trying to get through going to California on the 11th. I'll find out where their applications are tomorrow night at practice. So I know they have them. I just haven't seen them yet.
It would be really nice to get some girls. So far, we only have boys. And I approached 3 different girls that go to different schools, and they wouldn't do it. So it'd be really nice to get some little mix there.
That it?
That's it.
All right. If you give me a motion, we can go.
Motion.
Motion adjourned.